Hey guys, it has been a while since I have made a video, and I apologize for that. Last month has been really crazy, all in good ways. It's weird to be, at this point in my life, with what I did for a career, and now be busier than when I used to work, 60, 80 hours a week. And it's all good. It's all good. I wouldn't ask for another way. Just at times I run out of enough hours in the day to do everything I would like to do. And, that includes getting back to people, right away, like I used to. And I want to say thank you to a lot of people who have been reaching out, commenting, posting, or asking questions and being patient until I do get back to them. It's been, things have amped up a little bit. And so, going from almost never needing my phone during the course of a day to answering anywhere from 10 to 50 messages a day, um, has been a little bit of a change. And thank you to everyone who has been patient, and honestly, thank you to everyone who's just been interacting on the different social media accounts and keeping up with everything that I'm doing, and other people of the same mindset are doing out there in the world. Today, just real quick, like I said, I like to keep these 8 to 10 minutes long because I think, much like myself, our attention span tends to go unless it's like a really powerful podcast or something like that. But I just want to touch on, like, wellness and resiliency today a little bit. And I'm going to be a little selfish in this one. I'm going to use my story as an example. And I did a podcast with a gentleman yesterday, and one of the things we talked about was wellness and resiliency. How do we go through the shit we do? Whether it's a ton of trauma and a 30-year career, or maybe just you do it for a year and you find out it's not for you, and you leave the job, whatever. How do we navigate that? How do we get through it? It's one thing to focus on what happened and what bad things happened and what traumas you have been through, but in order to heal, you have to at some point see beyond that. You have to be able to take a step back, or maybe hit your rock bottom, your absolute rock bottom, before you can see that there is a way to heal and to be resilient and to have a mentally healthy life. And that's one of the things we talked about yesterday. And honestly, what I've been talking about probably the last 3 or 4 podcasts I've been doing, is instead of focusing on what happened, we focus on what did we do after it happened to start to heal. And my story in general is one of, I like to joke that it's Irish stubbornness. That would be the least I could say about it. But I really didn't get my head screwed on right until I was almost 40. And then there was still a lot of work after I turned 40. And, one of the things I was always told when I first started getting help, correct help, and, putting the right foot forward to, towards post-traumatic growth, was that it took you, I have a lot of childhood stuff. So at that point, it took you, 30 years to accrue all this without getting help, appropriate help. It's going to take you a little bit of time, maybe not 35 years or, whatever, maybe a couple months, maybe a couple years, who knows, but it's going to take time to heal. And that's a hard thing, especially for us first responders who work on instant gratification. We put the wet stuff on the red stuff. We go and we, stop a crime. We stop the bleeding. We answer the call. We dispatch, whatever it is, whatever your facet of first responder was, we get instant gratification from our job, which is why we do it. So when it comes to ourselves and it comes to helping ourselves, we're not going to get that instant gratification when it comes to healing. You may have an aha moment, which I've had probably hundreds of at this point, where you're like, oh, well, that makes sense. That's why I felt that way, and that's why that happened. And you do move on from it. But those are few and far between. The overall, the healing, the getting to the point where you live every day in resiliency and live every day in post-traumatic growth takes time. And I still battle it now. I'm going to be 44 this year. I have been seeing professional, culturally competent help since 2015. So we're talking 7 years now. I have been working on this like full on by the throat, and I still have areas to improve in. This is something you can't let your guard down with. Once you get the taste for what healing is, for what resiliency is, for life over the trauma, beyond the trauma, you can't stop. You have to embrace that feeling. You have to embrace what that experience is. Because if you don't record it, much like you have your traumas, you're not going to remember how to bring it up again on your own, which is how you get yourself out of the suck when you start slipping down that slope, and you can bank on your resiliency, how it felt, which is what I do. And yeah, sometimes it means me having to walk out of a room, or me having to pull the car over, or me have to step out of a meeting, or whatever it may be. It does impede my life to do it. But the alternative is that I end up losing a day, a week, a month. I piss off a bunch of people. I burn some bridges. Maybe I self-harm. Maybe I self-medicate because I allow myself to go down this. You have to hold on to what that feels like. And it may be different for everyone. Sometimes the easiest thing for me, and this is going to be a little bit of vulnerability, sometimes the easiest thing for me to think of when I start feeling myself either getting overwhelmed and I'm getting triggered, and I can feel those demons creeping back up, is I think about sitting in pajamas with my daughter, literally watching stupid cartoons. And I know that sounds really cheesy, but there is a feeling associated with that, which I have held on to when me and my daughter are sitting on a couch watching cartoons. There is almost like an innocence to that feeling. And I don't know how else to describe it, where nothing else is going on. Nothing else matters but what you're doing in that moment. For me, one of those grounding mechanisms, one of those sensations that I try to bring up is what that felt like. And in order to be able to bring that up, in order to be able to have that wellness when you need it, when you do experience these moments of less stress, or just a feeling of good, a feeling of happiness, which is a weird word, right? When you feel these, you have to record them. We are creatures of habit, and habits are harder to break than anything else. Habits and addictions, sometimes those words get interchanged. They're a little bit different. We don't need to get into that, but you got to think of like some of these good behaviors and these good sensations and these and wellness and resiliency and growth. You have to think of these as a habit you got to get yourself into, because once you get into the habit of re-experiencing these on your own and bringing these feelings up on your own, it becomes, it's a habit. So therefore you're not going to break it as easily. And I know that may sound easier said than done to a lot of people. And a lot of these things, for those who know me, I've been there. I have been to the point where people were literally, not many, but people were like, we'll walk you here and get you help. And I was like, no, go fuck yourself. I get it. Like all the extremes of trying to heal and get treatment and get help, I've been there. So for me to sit here now, it is even weird for me to say, it is possible to do this. It is not complex. It can be hard, but it is simple. It is not easy. But for those of us, especially in the first responder and military world, we didn't sign up for easy. We didn't. Except for, maybe the Air Force guys. No offense, Mike. So, one of the things that you really have to focus on is when we all sort of had traumas happen, whatever stage of our life that we're, especially for those of us who had it as children, it embedded a new wiring in our brain, where we developed these bad moods, these habits, these attitudes, which turned into a personality. So we lived by it, and we developed this and we honed it. In order to break that, you have to get the sensations and experience what it feels like to have resiliency and happiness and wellness. And you have to hold on to those. And you have to start creating that new habit, that new personality, by living it every day. Even when it hurts the most to bring it up, you have to do it, because that's when you're going to get the most amount of forward motion with all this. So that's real quick blurb for today. Hopefully I can try to keep up with these on a little better weekly or whatnot basis. I've been getting some feedback from them, not a ton. But just a quick update. I know we're hitting about the 10-minute mark right now, but real quick, there are some even bigger things coming down the pipe here. You know, most of you known who've been following me. We just filmed the documentary about 3 weeks ago. We're still putting that together. I can't relinquish much more details other than that. Other than we're going to try to make it big. We'll see what happens. For those who know, who have known me a while, I finally have an editor for my book. Thank you, Caroline. So that's off to the races, and hopefully, if all works out, I can get that out this year. Not sure when, probably end of year, likely. Everything with first responder coaching is going amazing. We have talks now of possibly running a podcast at some level. I'm not sure what the frequency will be with it. And real initial part of this, myself and Jen Anderson from First Responder Coaching are working with the New Hampshire Fire Academy, and we will be putting on a symposium between the two of us at the New Hampshire Fire Academy this fall in November. We will have speakers. It'll be a one-day thing, and it is looking like there is a possibility for this to run more times during the year. So next year there will be more options for them, and they may be happening more than once. Again, we're in a preliminary with that. We have some dates for November, but until I get more lockdown speakers and whatnot, I don't want to give out too many details. But there is a lot more stuff coming, guys. A lot more resources, a lot more talking about this stuff. So just, you know, hold the line and keep doing you every day. So hopefully next couple of days, 3 or 4 days, I'll get another video out. In the meantime, stay safe. Thanks for watching them, and you know, share the videos, comment, like, and we'll talk to you guys later.